How's it going? Today we are going to go through some of the meta builds that everybody is currently using for Dungeons of the Obelisk. So the first one is going to be Critical Chance. This is the main, most powerful build, probably the most powerful. It's definitely the easiest one to put together, so it's easier to achieve a high power level, something that'll get you through, Titan breaches, that kind of thing. So the build is currently, these are the main pieces. Glimmer, for everything, for all the builds, Glimmer is a great choice. So that one's kind of a anything goes. Glimmer is always good, except for a couple of the builds that require Gutso. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. The main four pieces of this build is, we start with the Grave Filler. It's your main hand. It has a powerful, cheap attack and Rage Spin that hits all enemies. So you want to just have enough mana to cast Rage Spin every turn, hit everybody. And the reason we're using Grave Filler, other than that, is that its legendary power is Critical Chance. So that's one of your guaranteed sources of Critical Chance. The other guaranteed source is a pair of Rat Wranglers. They roll Critical Chance as well. I believe these are both up to 6%, but you can check the wiki if you need the exact numbers. Mine have 5.1 crit chance, and I'm running Lifesteal as the modifier, the minor modifier. So, third piece is the offhand, which is Shiver. And this is where you get your critical damage from. So your critical hits aren't much good if they don't do extra damage. Shiver is a great place. It gives you up to 200% critical damage, so if you get a good roll. And then it also has focus damage, since it's an offhand focus. That's just a flat up to 25% boost to your damage. So it's kind of crazy. So these three items, and then your artifact, Mask of Takura is probably the best in slot, because it gives you critical chance and critical damage and a 25% boost to both of those. So some of your other choices would be to go with the Unconquered Light, which just gives you critical chance and a 50% boost to critical chance. And then you can also go with the artifact Yule Goat if you need more critical damage. So it gives you up to 200% critical damage, I believe, and then a 50% boost to critical damage. So if you've got enough crit chance and you just want massive hits, you can go with Yule Goat. If you don't have enough crit chance on your stuff, but you've got a good Shiver, you can choose Unconquered Light. And that's actually the one that I typically run. But Mask of Takura is the best all around because it gives you both. So those are the four main pieces. And then the other trick is to just watch your rolls, and anything that rolls crit chance or, crit damage, not as important, but anything that's got a good crit chance roll, you want to keep it. So this body, it rolled critical chance twice. So this one's 7.1% crit damage just from this body. Also, before I equip these, let's take a look at our information. So I don't even have max rolls on Grave Filler or Rat Wranglers. My Mask of Takura, I believe, gives you up to 6% crit chance, up to 100% crit damage, and then a 25% boost to each. So this one that I have is level 16, but I am maxed on the crit chance for that. So these three items, and then my offhand crit damage, Shiver for crit damage. If we take a look at our information, I've already got 20.8% crit chance just from those three items, and then crit damage for 414% just from the Shiver and the Mask of Takura together. So just these four items together, super powerful. If you're not to the level yet where you have Rat Wranglers, just use a pair of Cruiseran or Warped Leather, whatever you have, anything that happened to roll crit chance on it. So like here's a pair with 2.4%. So the max roll for critical chance on a legendary item is up to 5%. So it goes from 1 to 5%. So anything that has close to 5% is really good. typically you want a lot of lifesteal on your builds as well. So anything with crit chance or lifesteal, throw in here. So let's go back to all of my items. I happen to have a good pair of boots with double attack. That's what I run. Double attack's not bad. This body has the double crit chance roll. And then I have this pumpkin head that also has 4.3% crit chance. So whenever I equip all those, it gets me up to 35% crit chance and 400% plus crit damage. So then if you want to take a look, if I equip the Unconquered Light, that brings me up to 50% crit chance, 51%, but the crit damage is down to 250 from 414. So I actually prefer it this way. It's a little less damage, but I crit more often. But you can go to the wiki, click on strategy, go to advanced spreadsheet, and there's damage calculators, all kinds of stuff like that that can help you out if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of this. Otherwise, just go Maskataku Ra and Grave Filler, Shiver, and you're good to go. Everything else is just extra. And then, like I said, Glimmer is a great choice. So I also have no cosmetics equipped. So this is what the build fully looks like if you're not using any cosmetics. So we'll go into a Titan Breach. And we'll just smash everything real quick so you can see how powerful this actually is. And since we're messing around, it's always a good pro tip to use a weird contraption. They're super cheap and they're powerful enough that you basically get back the gold and stuff that you spend to make them. And then I think you should buy snack juice from the snack juice salesman and run that as well. But obviously not required. As you can see, we get huge buffs from Glimmer every turn on different various things, and the damage is just, you know, we're hitting stuff for 15,000, 10,000, 12,000, that kind of thing. So when you get to the boss, you're basically just waiting for that critical hit on the boss. It's like a 1 in 5 chance, I think, with our 20%. So it's great. And then, like I said, even if you don't have a good Grave Filler, you don't have a good Shiver, you can still put this build together and you can still start climbing. You know, the higher you can climb in breaches, Superior Master, you get some more item finds, so that helps you find more items with crit chance, get better rolls, and you can put this build. This is a build I recommend doing first, because it doesn't require any specific thing. It just has a lot of things that it recommends, and then just getting crit chance rolls on stuff. The other thing that's good about the Grave Filler main hand is it has that cheap attack all that we talked about, but it also has a pretty powerful single target. So once you kill everything else and it's just the boss left, then it will switch to using that single target. And here we actually knocked the boss out before we got the turtle. So we'll return to town. So now we're back in town. Let's unequip everything and let's put together the next build, which just so happens to be double attack. This build, I think, is arguably more powerful than crit chance, but it's so much harder to put together. So the thing about crit chance is crit chance attacks one time. You have a % chance to do your crit damage. With the next build, it's double attack. So double attack is your chance to attack twice, or to attack again, I should say. So double attack can trigger multiple times. So if you get enough double attack, if you somehow had 100% double attack, which is impossible in the game, you would just attack non-stop until everything died. It wouldn't matter if you had AoE, it wouldn't matter single target, anything. Even if you did 1 damage each turn or each attack, you just chain them forever. So the closer you get to 100%, the more broken double attack becomes. So right now in the game, it's potentially possible to get like 50% double attack, which is still enough to get lucky and have quite a few chains. So there's a few places that are guaranteed double attack. So the first one is making a glute fist, which obviously requires getting far enough in the game that you have challenges, you can farm challenges, and you get the recipe and the crafting material and the gold required to make a glute fist. And then it's up to a 10% double attack. Actually, let's just verify that. Yeah, so glute fist is 5 to 10% double attack. So if you can get close to 10, that's your first source of guaranteed double attack chance. Then the next spot is going to be your artifact, which is Wolf's Boon, which can be up to 15% double attack chance. So you throw Wolf's Boon on, it also has the added benefit of giving you some area damage as well, which never hurts to have just extra things in your build. Glimmer, always powerful. We already talked about that. The next thing we want to talk about is your main hand, which is going to be Lord of Death. Now, Lord of Death gives you crit chance. It's this legendary power is crit chance. But if you can get one that rolls double attack as a modifier, like this one, we got 2.5 double attack chance on the modifier, and we also got lifesteal. So lifesteal is always good, but double attack is a max of 3% on the modifier rolls. So anything that you could get, if you could get a double attack roll, I don't think I've ever gotten that, but that would be nuts. You could have up to potentially 6% from those rolls, but that's what makes this build so difficult. So the reason we're using this main hand is it's got decent skills. It's got a powerful enough attack all, and it also has a really powerful single target with Purgatory. So Phoenix is the attack all, Purgatory is a target closest. It insta kills if the enemy is below 25%. So it's pretty powerful. Now our head, we're going to go with a double attack roll for the modifier, and it's going to be a path through harmony. Now the reason we're using this is because when you have two pieces, it gives you a buff, 25% buff to critical chance, area damage, and double attack. So this can be huge with everything else having double attack. Now the next thing is to just go through your stuff and see what rolls double attack. So this body has a 2.3 double attack. This one has a 1.9. So you just got to look around and see what you've gotten. Crit chance is still good on this build. It's always good on any build. So we could go with this crit chance body, but we just want to kind of find as much double attack as we can. So this one has 2%. This one has 2.3. This one has health regen. We're just going to equip it just so we don't lose them all. And then we'll just you just kind of go through your stuff and see what has double attack, what has life steal, what has crit chance. Yeah, so nothing crazy in our bodies. You probably don't even want to go into this build unless you find a body that has at least a double attack roll, so that you can get like 5%, 6% from your body. So let's go with this one. It has a 2.3 on it. Or we could go with this 2% and have some health regen along with our life steal. That's probably actually a good choice. Legs, I always go with these life steal legs because they're just the most powerful ones I have, and being able to attack and heal is important on any build. But let's just see if we have any double attack rolls on pants. This pair of pants actually has 2.7 double attack. So just for the sake of it, these are Emperor's New Slacks, which is a cosmetic basically that makes it look like you're not wearing pants. So it doesn't even have a legendary power. So like these crit chance Rat Wranglers with lifesteal are probably way better for this build, but we're just going to equip these double attack chance ones just for fun. And then I have a pair of Crimson Boots that have rolled double attack, so they got 3.9 on them for double attack. So now this is our double attack build. Let's go in here and take a look. This gives us 46.5% double attack. Our crit's low, our area damage is 20%. Let's take a look at our lifesteal. Our lifesteal is 2.7, our health regen is 3.5. For this build to work, we want to have at least enough karma, enough mana each turn to cast Phoenix. So that looks like we need 370. So let's actually reforge this into health. And also Gloop Fist attacks as a dual wield item. So when you use your main hand attack, you'll also attack with Gloop Fist. So it gives you another attack with a chance to trigger double attack. So we want to make sure we have at least 30 karma for this and about 40 karma for this. So 70 all around. So I think if we reforge this, it'll get us very close. Obviously, I'm kind of going... we want Constitution. So we reforge, and we'll take a look. So normally, I would re-roll my Paragon. I would dial everything in. I'd go to the wiki. I'd go click on Strategy. I'd go to Advanced Calculator, and I'd figure out exactly how much karma we need each turn so that we can always cast this Attack All skill and our Gloop Fist every turn. With Glimmer, you don't have to worry as much because Glimmer will trigger about every 4 turns and give you like a huge karma boost, mana regenerate boost. So it's not super critical for me right now because I have enough Paragon. I can make this work. I think this will still go and clear Titan. So let's jump in and see how our double attacks look. And let's slow the game down so you can actually see these double attacks hit. It'll show the damage in yellow when you double attack, I believe. Oh, no, it doesn't. Oh, wait, that was just a Gloop Fist. Sorry. So when you double attack or area damage, it should show the extra damage in yellow. And there it goes. So we double attacked, and we attacked again with our Gloop Fist. And there was a Purgatory hit that just does 99,999 damage. So that combination is pretty powerful. I feel like we're low rolling. We should double attack like 50% of the time. Speed up the walking and then we'll slow down the combat. So there we just double attacked twice, so we attacked 3 times in a row, which pretty powerful. It's still arguably maybe not as powerful as the crit chance that does 400% damage in addition, you know, so like I said, you know, we still have a lot of room on this build where we could roll more double attack. So I'm thinking, I was saying 40 or 50, but I'm thinking you could easily, with good rolls, get up to 60%. It would be pretty crazy. And then, you know, as we develop the game, hopefully we add more double attack support. This build will get a little easier to put together. But for now, I think it's pretty cool. You can also, alternative to the Gloop Fist, you can use the full 3-sword style set, because the offhand sword does give you double attack as well. You get more from the Gloop Fist, and the Gloop Fist gives you that extra attack but the, you know, a perfectly rolled offhand sword, a troll piercer it's called, that could actually even be better, because you can get up to, if you get a max roll, you can get like 6%, and then that's going to come out to, I don't know, even more, like 7.5 or something, with the 25% boost to it. And then it has the added advantage of giving you the 3-sword style 3-piece ability, which is a bunch more dexterity. Never bad. So, and it has the powerful Dragon Twister attack. So if you can get enough karma, you can just destroy everything with Dragon Twister. And if Dragon Twister double attacks, even more power. So there's a lot of potential on this build, but it is a little RNG dependent, and it definitely depends on getting those rolls on your gear. And then sometimes you just low roll and you just never double attack. Here we go, coming up on the boss. So let's just slow it down, see how we do against the boss. And he killed us. So I'm just showing you the builds. You have to fine tune them yourself. Obviously, if that happens to me and I'm playing for real, I would go back in and take a look at my constitution, because we did hit that boss 3 times in a row. If we had more strength, we'd have done more damage. If we had more constitution, we could have survived better. If we had more lifesteal in this build, you know, some of these rolls could have been lifesteal that weren't, you know, so maybe our body has double attack or lifesteal. That could have been a little bit better. We also could have proc Glimmer, you know, gotten a little bit luckier and had the health regen from Glimmer. So to fix that, I would probably re-roll something to have just a little bit more constitution. But that is the double attack build. Now, the next build I want to show you, we just kind of put it together. It's only been engineered for, you know, a couple weeks. So this build is called Dragon Twister. It relies on having a Troll Piercer offhand weapon, and the Troll Piercer has an attack called Dragon Twister, which just does a massive amount of damage, and it hits everything. So this attack is also the most expensive attack in the game. It costs 250 mana. So in order to cast this every turn, you would have to have 2,500 karma. But that comes into the next piece of our build, and I don't have this build optimized on this character. I should maybe switch to my other character and show you, but we'll just try to put it together on here. So to give you an idea of how it like could work and what's going on. So we want to find a pumpkin head because with a max roll, a high roll. So this one has 12% mana regenerate. Let's equip it. Let's take a look. If you roll a high roll on the legendary power of a pumpkin head, and then also have mana regenerate as the second, as your modifier. So this one is 14% mana regenerate as opposed to this one that's 12. Has a low major trait, but we're going to equip it because we want as much mana regenerate as we can on this build. The next thing we need, okay, I had to go farm for the item I needed, and I didn't get a very good one, but Troll Piercer offhand so that we can use Dragon Twister. Then you need an apprentice bow. And the reason we have to use the rare apprentice bow is because it doesn't have any mana spenders. It's the best item that doesn't have any mana spending abilities on it. So it's just a basic attack on the apprentice bow, and then our Dragon Twister offhand attack. The reason being, the game needs fixed. It's not perfect. So when you have a more powerful main hand that has mana spending abilities, it tends to use those mana spending abilities on the main hand instead of saving up or using the offhand attack. So a lot of times you'll even have enough mana to use it, but it won't want to cast Dragon Twister for whatever reason. So having the main hand bow keeps you from, first of all, if you have enough to use Troll Piercer every turn, you still kind of need the bow because the game's a little bit not optimized. But if you don't have enough mana to cast Dragon Twister every turn, you have to use the bow because it doesn't have a mana spender that it'll use instead. So this way it'll basic attack with the bow, and then it'll save up and it'll use Dragon Twister. So the other thing is, we kind of already said it. So we have this mana regenerate head on. So this alone brings us to 24% mana regen. So that's about half. Let's go back in. So something was messing up. One of the other things that I noticed when I was trying to do this build is that mana cost reduction doesn't update when you move items around. So you have to leave your inventory and go back into it, and then mana cost reduction will update. So we were looking at this attack, it was showing that it costs less mana, but we don't have any mana cost reduction on right now. So now, the last essential item for this build is Glimmer. And I said Glimmer is good on all the other builds, that's true. Glimmer is essential on this build because you have to have so much mana regen, and you have to use this apprentice bow, so you lose slots that you can put to lifesteal or health regenerate. Glimmer rotates its turn, every turn it gives you the random buff, one of the 4. Health regenerate is going to come in super important on this build, especially at lower levels, trying to make it work. And then also the mana regenerate trigger will also just buff you and let you use your Dragon Twister more often if you don't have enough karma, enough Paragon points to assign to karma, or enough mana regenerate. So the next thing we need to do is just to go through our stuff and see what this has mana cost reduction, so let's equip it. But we're looking for mana regenerate is our main thing. So this has 4%, 4.3 mana regenerate and some crit chance. So let's throw that on. It also has revitalize, which can come in handy when you're trying to optimize mana. Mana regenerate. So obviously I'm not running this build on this character, so I'm just kind of throwing it together with pieces that I have. But this one has, this is 4.3 mana regenerate, but this item has 3.9 mana regenerate, some crit chance, and some mana cost reduction. So we're going to throw that on, and then we're going to take a look at everything else we got real quick. And I think that's probably the best option we have, because the mana cost reduction is helpful, so it brings it down to 229 mana that we need to cast it. And then it also gives us, we have 27.9 mana regenerate. My other character where I run this build has about 32% mana regenerate. Let's see what we can do. So artifact, that's up to you. Takura, always good, because if this build crits, it's going to be insane damage. I like Wolfspoon because of the double attack chance, because double attacking with this build or hitting area damage is also insane. My Wolfspoon is rolled really good, so it gives me more dexterity. Legs, I usually go with these lifesteal legs because they're the best ones I've rolled. If you have a pair that has health regen, if you have a pair that has crit chance, if you have a pair that has mana regenerate is probably the best in slot. So I have a mana cost reduction pair. I would throw those on and see. but this lifesteal pair is just going to be more essential for our build right now. And then the same with feet. I haven't really been keeping feet with mana regenerate because, like I said, we kind of just came up with this build and I haven't really optimized it on this character yet. So we're just going to throw on our Crimson Boots, the key items, Troll Piercer, Apprentice Bow, Pumpkin Head, and Glimmer. Everything else, just throw in the best thing you got. So now let's take a look. Our mana cost reduction is 27.9, or sorry, mana cost reduction is 8.5, mana regenerate is 27.9. So now let's switch over to our screen share. Here's my build guide, which is on knobcat.com, by the way. So if you want to read about this meta builds, you can come to knobcat.com, go to the blog. Now, what I want to show you is the wiki. So Dungeons of the Obelisk.wiki is the site. There's lots of stuff here to check out. Strategy. Vant's DotO spreadsheet. Vant has done a lot of work on this spreadsheet, and he's made some calculators and things that are really helpful. So we want to look at our information, which I have on the other screen. So our mana regenerate is, sorry, I got stuff in the road, my microphone and stuff. 27.9 is our mana regenerate. The skill costs 250, and our mana cost reduction is 8.5. You could also leave the mana cost reduction as 0 and put in the correct cost of the skill, but I prefer to just use the full cost of 250 and the mana cost. So this says we need 820 karma to use Dragon Twister every turn. So let's come back to our game, and we're going to try to hit our Paragon, return the points, because I don't want to re-roll anything, I don't think, right now. Actually, I do. So let's, and this is going to be dependent on what stuff you have and what you want to run. So let's reforge this to Karma. Let's reforge this to Karma. And then take a look at our build. So that brought us up to 738. We lost some strength, which I probably should have kept on. Tell you what, let's I said we were going to go with Wolfspoon. Let's switch to Mask of Takura, because Mask of Takura gives you strength. So that's going to be our source of strength and our crit damage. So we weren't really even looking at our offensive skills anyways. So we had some double attack. We have some crit chance. It doesn't matter with this build because Dragon Twister just does so much damage. So let's go to Paragon. Let's return our points. Let's get our karma up to, what did the calculator say? 820. So we're going to try to get it to exactly 821 so that there's no rounding errors. And the best way to do this, unfortunately, it doesn't update here as you tick up the points. So you have to save, and then you assign some, and then you save, and then you see what it goes to. And you got to kind of zone in on the perfect number slowly. So we want 821. And the reason you have to go slowly is because some items give you a buff, like this gives us a 1.95% buff to karma. So it doesn't really matter in this example, but if you had a lot of stuff buffing your karma, it would actually be really helpful for this build. And second of all, it can sometimes give you 2 or 3 points instead of just 1 when you tick it up. So this is enough karma to cast Dragon Twister every turn. We got enough constitution. Now we're going to tick up our strength to roughly 500, just because that seems to be where it works pretty good to kill everything. You can dial it in where you want. You can reforge your stuff how you want, and you can kind of dial this in as close as you can to perfect for you. And then we're just going to assign the rest of the points to dexterity, because you can never have enough dexterity. The higher Paragon you are, the more likely this build is going to work, because you'll have more points to throw around in karma and still make things high enough in the other stats. So here is our Dragon Twister build. Let's go to the Breach on Titan and see how it does. Far from optimized, but it should smash stuff. So as you can see, Dragon Twister, it should just be, it's a ranged sword attack. So if you know One Piece, you know what I'm talking about. But it fires an arrow because it's the default ranged attack animation. It should be a like magic kind of thing, a magic swish kind of going at the enemies. That's something that we need to fix, but low on the totem pole of things that need fixed. But as you can see, we'll just put it back on, our movement speed back up. It smashes the trash, and being able to cast it every turn is just huge damage. And we should be able to beat the boss with this unless we get an unlucky roll. Sometimes the boss just rolls so high on its major traits that it just outspeeds you and just does tons of damage. But if you remember on the other build, we were critting for like a lot of damage, 15,000. Here we're hitting for like 8,000 just with no crits, no double attack, no crits. So it's just, you know, sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 8. It varies. It has a range for its damage, but it still hits hard enough that it just, we're one-shotting almost everything in Titan except for the turtles. And we're going to slow it down against the boss, and just so we can see what happens. The boss can heal, so it makes it a little tough. But we're doing about a quarter to a third of his health every hit. So we're basically a 3-shot kill, and there we got a crit. So we critted for 24,000 damage. And basically a couple shots on the boss and we're good. So let's return back to town. That's the Dragon Twister build. So the next build I want to show you is specific for pushing in challenges. So the next build is the Destiny build. So for its namesake, you need a Destiny main hand. So let's go see what ones we've got. This one is pristine, and it has a lot of crit chance on it, so that's going to be a good bet. This one also has a lot of crit chance. Do the math, figure out which one's better. You know, find the best Destiny you can. Crit chance is good, double attack, same thing, lifesteal, same as any other build. So Destiny is a key item. The second key item for this build, it's not Glimmer, it's actually Gutso. So Gutso is the pumpkin companion that has a chance to buff your dexterity when you hit an enemy. Destiny has Magic Missile, which hits 3 to 5 times. All enemies 3 to 5 times. So if you do the math on that, a group of enemies is 8, and 8 times 5 is 40. Sometimes I do math and I say random shit, but I think that it's 40. So you can hit in one turn 40 times. So that's, you know, a low roll Gutso. Mine does 17.5 chance to increase my dexterity. You can increase your dexterity like 10 times, maybe even 15, 20 times in a single turn. It's insane. It's maybe broken. Maybe the devs need to look at this. But for now, this is the build. So let's go. The last thing that's key for a Destiny Gutso build is a pumpkin head. And the reason is Magic Missile on Destiny costs 90 mana to cast. So you'd have to have 900 karma, which is possible. You know, we had more than that on our Dragon Twister build, but we don't want to use all of our points in karma. So now with the pumpkin head, we can go back to the calculator, and I'll just do it off screen real quick. Actually, let's throw the rest of our build together. These are the key items. So now, let's take a look. Crit chance. We got a chunk of crit chance from our main hand. We also you can kind of fill the rest of the stuff in whatever you think works best. So we have a good Shiver. We have a good Mask of Takura. We have a good Unconquered Light. I'm just going to throw Unconquered Light in. Gets us up to 26% crit chance. The more you crit, more damage you do. So let's throw that in. And then best in slot. I have a good pair of Rat Wranglers. I have a good pair of Crimson Boots. And a body. This one's our lifesteal and a cost reduction. I'm trying to remember which one we used to run. I think I had one that had a double crit chance on it. Area damage, damage to elites. I think this is the one we were running. So let's take a look at our build. We have 24% mana cost reduction, and we have 44% crit chance, 249 crit damage, a little bit of double attack, a little bit of damage to elites, a little bit of area damage, 22.6% focus damage. This build is just all around super powerful, but it works for one reason, and it's a challenge pushing build. And that's because challenges, you can attack a bunch of times, spool up Gutso, and just get going really fast. So you can RNG, try to get a good easy first wave in the challenge, you know, no elites, smash everything really fast, get Gutso spooled up, and then after the second or third wave, you just outspeed everything. So here's our build. We could go to the mana calculator and see, but I don't think that's necessary. We are just going to reforge our pumpkin head to strength. And then we're going to take a look. And we have 500 strength. That's the same as our Dragon Twister build had. We got 500 karma. So even if we had 10%, we would have, that would give us 50. And we've got over 20% regen. So it's going to give us like over 100 per turn. That's going to be plenty enough to cast Magic Missile. Our dex is pretty good. Our constitution's a little low, but once you get Gutso going, it doesn't matter. So let's just go to a Glub one. Let's go. I'm at level 200. I haven't really been pushing super hard, but let's see what we do in level 200 Glub challenges. There, we just hit 5 times. I didn't see how fast we got Gutso going. It kind of doesn't look like we gained much dexterity that time. There, we gained a bunch, and we healed when we attacked. Lifesteal's super important to this build. If you're taking hits, which you're going to, the higher you push, the more hits you're going to take. We're gaining dexterity. We gained 415 dexterity that turn. We're gaining 530. It just gets higher and higher. Now we're at 711. We're at 823. But we're just outspeeding stuff like crazy now. We gained 1400 dexterity that turn. 1700. 2100. We're just, look how fast we are. Nothing stands a chance. They don't even get a turn anymore. And here's the boss. Let's see how we do. There it is. That's the challenge pushing build. Let's return to town. And the last build on the list possibly doesn't work. We need to do more testing on it, but since this is a meta builds and this is something that we're talking about in the community, I want to talk about it. It's the same build as Destiny, uses Gutso, uses Pumpkinhead, everything kind of the same, except we're going to use a Waywind's Grace. And what this does for us is it converts some of our dexterity, it's applied to physical damage. So as Gutso gets stronger and stronger, our dexterity goes up, and that dexterity gets applied to physical damage. So it doesn't hit as many times as the Destiny does, but it does have an attack all with Barrage that's fairly cheap. We should be able to cast it. Let's just go back into the level 200 challenge that we did with the Destiny, and let's just see how it compares. I don't think it's the best build, but it is an option. There, see, we didn't even proc Gutso that time, so let's speed it up. Give these glubs their turn. They might just kill us because we don't have very much health. And we're also not getting very many Gutso procs. Oh, here's a few. We're gaining some dexterity. We're critting. We're doing some damage. So it's not the best build, but if you get a really good Waywind's Grace, the bow can be useful. If you don't have a good Destiny, the bow can be a good filler until you get a Destiny. This build can also work a little bit. You know, both of these builds, Destiny and Waywind's Grace, they can work in dungeons and breaches a little bit, but you don't get the waves of mobs. You don't have as much time to power up Gutso before you get to the boss. But if you can survive, if you have enough health, then you can take some hits, you can attack, you can get Gutso powered up, and then you can attack more. So it's not a bad build anyways. It's hard to compare what things work better than others, but there you go. That was the build. That was a Waywind's Grace, and we were still able to do level 200 glubs pretty easily. And we didn't even optimize any of our constitution or anything, so that's a good example of something, of all the builds that you can do. There's a few other builds that I've been thinking about, like using parts of Karuzaran and 3 sword styles set together. There's lots of things you can do. Huge single target damage, so when world boss comes out, those kind of items will become more useful. There's lots of room for things to mess around with in the game, so I encourage you to try out some of the builds I talked about and try to make some of your own. Go explore the dungeons, kill some glubs, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.